Yes.
Councilman Monti.
Yes.
Councilman Vidal.
Yes.
Councilman Bertone.
Yes.
An ordinance of the Borough of Edgewater, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 240 of the Borough Code to implement and reaffirm the recommendations contained in the April 2014 Master Plan re-examination as approved by the Planning Board is hereby adopted.
Ordinance number 1514, 2014, an ordinance of the Borough of Edgewater in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, amending ordinance number 1474, 2012 of the Borough finally adopted on May 24, 2014, providing for various improvements to Veterans Field in and for the Borough of Edgewater and appropriating $13,700,000 therefore, and providing for the issuance of $13,015,000 in bonds or notes of the Borough of Edgewater to finance the same. This ordinance amends previous ordinance 1474, 2012, which represents an increase of $4 million from the prior ordinance for various improvements to Vets Field, such as realignment of baseball and softball fields, new parking lots, lighting, landscaping, environmental remediation, just to name a few. So, at this time, I open to the public on 15/14/2014. Valerie.
Valerie Martinez, 16 Hudson Terrace. Objecting to everything when you have the facts behind you.
Excuse me, somebody's
Is good
speaking. I can't hear you.
When you say the bonding with the fields, the ball fields, blah, 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 that's, you're talking about Veterans?
Yes.
Veterans Park?
Yes.
So, this is aside from what we had originally bonded for with the remediation and the redoing of Veterans Park?
Yes.
So the taxpayers are paying for this, right? Do the taxpayers pay for this bond?
If it's used.
If it's used? So it's not free money. Thank you.
Mary.
Veterans Field. Mary Hogan, 606 Underwood Avenue. I don't understand why you just don't, like, write a blank check to Fred and just give him the 13 million, because it seems to me that he's gonna get it one way or the other. In terms of this bond, we've increased it now by 4 million because, why? If we could have done it with 7 million, why is the need to increase it to 4, another 4?
Mary, we have to go out. The bids will be opened on Wednesday, and we're going to need the money to clean the field.
Well, you still have 4 million, right?
Yes.
So now it's going up to 8 million.
Well,
Sorry, not 5? I thought the original bond was 7.
No, I believe it was 9. The
Oh,
contract.
wait. Bid came in at 7,
Right,
but you had bonded for 9?
I believe so.
Why did you do that?
I guess it was based
Because
on
of good
engineer's
faith
estimate at the time.
You went out to the bond, and so you had an extra 2 million to do whatever the hell you could do with the 2 million. And now you're bonding another 4 to do,
To remediate the park.
Remediate the park.
well, but that's what the original was for, to remediate the park and to put in the new
Yes, it was.
which was
Right.
7 million. I mean, the original bid
9.7 was the original, Mayor. Ordinance 1474, 2012.
So it was 9.7, the bid
9.7.
came in at 7 million, we were gonna save whatever that number is. So now we're using that number plus an additional 4. So now we're up to 6 point, he came in at 7, it was 9.8. That's 2.8 million, and you're adding another 4, so now we're up to 6.8. The original bid was 7. Why are we doubling the bond?
Because it might cost $4 million to clean up the park. That's an unexpected cost. We did not anticipate this situation. So now we have
But
to
you
clean
had
it.
you had 2.8 million extra.
won't be enough.
But 4 is too much.
You have to remove it, then replace, and then
You
complete the
but you
park.
see, you're not making any sense.
No, it-
7
it does,
million,
it
wait.
does, Mary.
9.8, I understand, is what you bonded. I understand it. Came in at 7 million, big bargain, 3 million under everybody else. Okay, so it came in at 7 million. So that was for, as far as I know, for remediation and the redoing of the park according to the master plan for the park, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we got more contamination on the field. The field is nowhere near anything. It's back to beyond, before square one where we started.
It's worse.
Yeah, so it's worse than what it was from when we started out. So now we're gonna take more money to clean it up, but the 7 million that was there is just gone out the window. And we're gonna use now 6, 8 to do what we could have done for, I don't understand.
The money
Maybe I can explain it.
The money didn't go out the window.
The first, we paid them $3 million
Go
up
ahead.
Madam, please.
The balance, when this ordinance, 1514-2014.
That's the first?
No, this is the one
Okay, so-
from this evening. When this ordinance was created, we had approximately $5.3 million left in the original ordinance, which was 1474. Based on engineer's estimate, if we were to go out to bid, which we are now, and we will be opening bids on Wednesday, the engineer's estimate said we should have another 4 million to be included on top of the remaining 5. So that way, if we do hire a contractor, we will have the necessary funds to pay that contractor.
Okay, so now we're talking, instead of bidding for 7, which was the original, now we're presuming that what we've got now is we're gonna have to pay 9 million something. That's what the estimate is from the engineer, right? Is that correct?
The original
I
estimate was
believe it was around
9.7, so
7.
that's what we've been
I
buying.
think even this engineer's estimate was around 7.
Well, it seems like we paid out.
It's only gonna cost us 7 to do it?
No. That was an engineer's
It
estimate.
was 7, but we only have 5.
That was an engineer's estimate.
No, but not now. Now we're up to 9 million something.
Yeah.
The ordinance, not the engineer's estimate.
But now you got me really
And we're not necessarily going to be
Really
using that money.
confused. Really. Well, I understand because you haven't really gone out to bond because you're only doing notes right now, so.
We had about 5.3 million left in ordinance 1472, based on the engineer's estimate of the contaminants that are in the field now.
Right.
He estimated we're talking between $7 and $8 million for remediation, hence the amendment for 4.
Okay, so now we've got 3 million that we spent that is gone at the window because we're back to beyond before.
Well, that's part of the recouping of the damages.
Okay, so, but we're ignoring that. It's as if it's gone, right? I mean, it's in this bonding ordinance.
Right.
It's as if we don't have it to work with in the future. And instead of having the 7 million bid, they're presuming we're going to get an estimate that the bid to clean it up now is how much?
They said between 7 and 8 million. Now, the reason that is the original bid from Waterside included the amenities. This bid, which will be open on Wednesday, is strictly remediation.
Oh, that's what I wanted to know. So we're bidding 7 million to do only remediation, whereas the original 7 million was to do everything.
That's correct.
So now we might have a clean field, that we are now paid 13, whatever, and no money to upgrade it. Is that correct?
Well, we're hoping that the bids come in favorable on Wednesday.
Well, certainly none of them are gonna come under 7 million because the field wasn't even as bad as it is now. So this is totally only remediation now. The original bid was for everything. And now we're not getting anything except cleaning up the park. Is that correct? On this bid, on this additional bonding that you're doing?
To bring in clean fill.
Oh, no, I understand that, but the original was doing all of that too. And fixing the whole parking.
That's why we were trying to go back to the original plan, who we were working with.
Well, why the hell would you work with him? He just cost you another $7 million.
You see the alternative routes.
No, you can't have it
No,
both ways,
you
Mayor.
still gotta
because we
pay him.
can't-
You
we
still
can't
pay
go
him.
to the extreme.
Now we're not.
I'm just trying to figure out what the hell the public is paying for, and obviously we're paying $13.8 million just to remediate that park.
Okay, we can't.
Somehow that seems to be,
We can't go both ways.
Totally
We're trying-
out of-
You would have us not use them, and then, so, okay.
I know you're gonna go through this
No,
whole
no,
thing.
no, no, I'm
and-
being honest with
I'm
you,
sorry,
saying,
you're never honest with me, so,
But
but
tonight-
I can see you, I can understand where we're heading, I
What was you
understand
gonna say
totally
tonight,
where we're
not on
heading.
the money, so we can.
But my thing is, we are now going out bonding for 13 point, what is it? What you just did tonight? Excuse me, what?
We're adding $4 million.
34 million,
Yeah, so what's the total?
13.7.
So for $13.7 million, we're going to get a clean field with nothing on it. Is that correct?
We're hoping that's not the case.
I don't care what you're hoping, that's what you're bidding for. That's what you're
No.
passing an
I wouldn't-
ordinance
but I didn't
to
say-
do.
I don't think we're bidding for that. I
No,
wouldn't say
no,
we're
I'm
bidding.
saying you're passing an ordinance to do that.
Look,
So when the
look,
bids, wait,
you're-
in
you're-
terms of this ordinance, because it applies to the bids, when the bids come in, the bids are only to clean the park. It has nothing to do with
That's correct.
setting up everything that's there.
We have put money in place to start and complete the remediation of the park. We do not know how much it's going to cost. All we have are engineers' good faith estimates. We have environmentalists, and this is what they've recommended. We are going to remediate the park, and we're going to complete the park. So
No, you're gonna remediate it.
both.
That's
things
not
are
what
gonna
this
be-
bonding is for.
Look, you're arguing with me. I'm simply saying that money is available to complete the park. And that's the whole, the mayor just read the purpose of the bond. So we are going to remediate first, and then we're going to do the amenities. So that's the plan. When the bids come in, we'll have a better idea how much things are going to cost, and we will then make a decision to proceed at that time. I mean, I don't know what else to
But
say.
the estimate that you're adding onto this bond, as I understand it, which is based on the engineer's estimate, is only for cleaning up the park. Am I, you know, that's, I mean, you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth, but the original bond,
You
you're
want a sound
adding
bite, they give
into
me
a
the answer, all
bond.
you want is a sound bite, they give me the
You're-
answer.
We are not doing.
I'm not asking for a soundbite, I'm asking to know where my taxes go.
Didn't you say it was on purpose?
I think you are.
You think whatever you want.
The bids,
The bond, you're adding on to a bond that was to do everything in the park. And what you're adding on to the bond is so that the entire bond that we have now is only going to be to clean up the park.
The bond is there to do whatever we decide to do in order to
Well,
complete the
yeah, I know
park.
what you're going
So
to
we
decide
don't
to
know.
do, and we already know
Well,
because,
look, you're being argumentative because we have been advised by our professionals that we should anticipate adding $4 million to the pre-existing bond so that we can move forward with remediation. And then we can proceed immediately with completing the park, including the amenities.
and why does
That's
the,
why we're doing what we're doing.
and what is the estimate that they have?
The original
for?
est- the
Excuse
original-
me, what are they estimating the cost of doing the master plan for the park?
Amenities, that would be part of the original scope of work, which I don't recall the exact number for the amenities.
So but it's not included anywhere in this. It wasn't the original, but it's not in this one.
The goal here was to simply provide enough funding based on the bid opening for Wednesday. And hopefully those bids will come in favorable. We'll have not only enough of money to perform the remediation, but also towards the completion with the amenities.
Well, what-
That's the goal.
Yeah, but what I got from the discussions that went on here is, the real goal is to remediate the park now, and then when we win the lawsuit, wherever, then we're gonna have the money to remediate the park. I mean, to do the master plan thing. Right now, all this bonding is really just for cleaning it up.
Well, we did.
And if there's anything left over,
I
that's
don't
fine.
believe that.
I know the mayor, I believe it was Valerie who asked if the mayor was going to provide a report. I thought it was enclosed to the best that we can legally. believe, Phil, that Mr. Neglia did make a comment about the amenities enclosed.
Yes, we,
And I don't know if you want to elaborate on that?
Well, you don't have to do that now, because we're just talking about the bond. And I mean, if you do it later, that's fine, we'd appreciate that. But right now, this bond that we're going out for is strictly for remediation, and if anything's left over, then maybe we'll do something with the field. That's my understanding of this bond.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Okay.
Katie Jones, 359 on Newcomb Avenue. So you say if we use the bond, right? Right. So, and if we don't use the bond, how do we keep track of that money that you bonded out for?
If a settlement was reached with the contractor, Waterside, obviously, we would not need the additional funding that would be voted on this evening, and that bond would simply be canceled.
Cancel.
Yes.
Well, the authorization would be canceled, we would never
Right.
actually got the bond.
That's
Never
correct.
have actually
Yeah.
received the
Right,
funds.
right.
So we wouldn't have to try to track that money.
That's
correct.
It goes south.
That's correct.
So, but Waterside is demanding that once the remediation is performed, that they be permitted to complete the project, and they want to be paid for what they've done, correct?
Mr. Bojan?
You know what, Mr. Bojan keeps answering all the questions, but some of you were elected, some of you were appointed, some of you ran unopposed. I think the people that are in office should be answering the
well,
questions.
first of all, there's a lawsuit pending against the contractor. You want us to disclose in public precisely what our strategy is and how this case is going to get resolved.
Well, why
We're
not?
not, we're not in a position to do that right now. We're simply adopting the ordinance so that we are satisfied that we have sufficient funds to remediate the park, and then we will proceed with the completion of the park, which includes the amenities. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if, where Waterside is going to be involved in any phase of this. We have to assume that the bids are going to be open on Wednesday, and then we'll evaluate all of the bids and see what the prices come in at.
When you
So,
say we, do you mean you included, or are you speaking for the council? Because you keep saying we, and I don't know if that includes you, or you're speaking for the council.
I'll talk.
Can I answer that? We do listen to Phil's advice as our legal counsel, so I guess when he's saying we vote,
Well,
but
he's
we
mine,
depend
he's the
on.
borough attorney.
Yeah, so he represents us all.
The
So we-
the answer is there's a legal protocol as to what happens to open up the bids. And that's been established and gone on for years and years, you've all been involved in it, so that's what happens. That's the answer.
And you have to
I
award it.
don't understand. You just-
Well, okay, what I'm saying is that there has to be X amount of people here, there has to be witnesses involved.
Right.
There's a legal thing that has to happen for the bids to be open. I thought that's what was the question, that's all. Yeah.
It wasn't a question.
Oh, what was
But
it?
my
I'll
question
try and-
is, you paid him $3 million up front?
I don't know what was paid to the
Well, no, you
Waterside
have to
Borough.
know. Who's in charge? Who's the
Can't
financial?
check, I'll get a printout, my hard.
Yeah,
copy,
well,
that's
here's
not
my
the point.
thing, all right, let's skip through all that.
A little over.
All these numbers keep floating around. You know, Mr. Hemmer said the 50 people here tonight didn't really mean anything. So for the benefit of the 12,000, yeah, you just 50 people here tonight. So for the benefit of the 12,000 out there, why don't you put this line item budget up? Why don't you tell us what we've already spent, what we intend to spend, and what we got and what we haven't got? Why don't you put that up on the borough website?
It is.
That would be,
It is. That information is on the.
Line by line, what you paid, I know, I actually want to know who was on the site every day of that job and who got paid to be on that site every day of that job, and how much money got doled out by us to everyone who was working on
So the
that job.
answer-
I want to see,
So
I'm
what's the
speaking
answer?
now.
Oh, well, you asked us
Excuse
to
me.
talk, and now we can't talk?
No, not until I'm done.
Okay.
I'm looking at him,
Yeah.
okay?
Him has the name.
Mr. Franks.
Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, I'd like to, for the benefit of the 12,000 that didn't make it here today, only 50 showed up. So I would like to see that put on the website. Because, you know, you work with Montvale, right, Mr. Bourget? That's televised. Fort Lee, a lot of places are televised, it's real easy to get it on television. And in Montdale, I noticed they do have an open exchange back and forth, so I don't know where we got our policy where we can't talk back and forth. But anyway, so why don't you put that on our website? Exactly how the first $3 million was spent.
But that
No,
information
no, that was
is,
done before
the
November.
information.
I want to see
Katie,
this out.
The information is on the website. It's not the manner in which you requested.
Yeah, well, let's make it simple for everybody.
I will certainly
You know?
look at doing that for you.
You know, that's how I run my household. I don't just go, oh, I don't know where that money went. I don't know I know where all my money goes because
So
I
we-
actually work for a
So
living.
does the borough.
Well, you know what? A lot of money's gone south over the years. Maybe not when you've been here, but we've had to try to keep track of a lot of money over the years. So we'd like to see it very simply, very plainly out there. Who was on the field, who got paid for what, and where the first $3 million went. I don't see how you can spend that kind of money and then expect to come back for more money. And just to give somebody some credibility. You know, the whole thing really is unbelievable.
I understand.
And it is shameful.
Valerie.
So 9.7 was the first bond we did, Mr. Prince, right?
I believe so. I have it here. Let me just confirm it. Ordinance 1474-2012 was 9.7 million, yes.
And then 7 million, the bid came in for 7 million. I just, because the numbers were going back and forth here. The bid went out and was accepted at 7 million.
I believe it was around 7 million too.
And then, now this bond is for 4 million, right? And there's 5.3 million left.
Approximately, right.
From the 9.7,
That's correct.
right? So we spent 4 million already,
Approximately.
right? But it was my understanding and that we paid up front 3 million. Or did we pay 4 million up front?
No. Nothing was paid to the contractor up front. What was done is they certified their payment vouchers to the engineer. The engineer certifies them to the borough, and it gets placed on a bill list, and then he gets paid for the work that was performed.
Right, so there was no lump sum?
No.
Okay, so this was, but the 5.3 is what it cost so far?
No, the
No?
5.
I mean, I'm sorry, no, not the 5 point,
Okay.
I'm sorry, the 4 million. 4 million.
Approximately,
That we
right.
spent was for the remediation.
The
That's
professional fees, terms,
Professional.
attorney, fee, legal counsel, site engineering, that all
Is
came out.
Mr. Carson's?
Well, not at that time, but his bills now, yes.
Now
Yes.
come out of that.
Yes.
So now we're estimating, the engineer said that you can expect it to be between 7 and 8 million, so you should have this, well, see, Mr. Vidello is disagreeing with you.
He did not say that. I need to say something about that, because in our discussions with the engineers, when we were putting together the bid spec, we were afraid, we were concerned that the $5.3 million that we had in the bond were not going to be enough to do the remediation. We were concerned that it might not be. So we decided to go out and bond an additional $4 million so that we can do the cleanup, and then there would be sufficient money to finish up the park. Now, as a result of the environmental engineer now is finding out that the cost of some of this, the disposal fees that he's finding out there are coming in very, very competitively. So we actually think that this cleanup may actually be a lot less than the 7 million. Let's just put it that way. I'm going to say conservatively. The environmental engineer said that based on what he's finding out with regards to the disposal fees that are being quoted out there, he expects this to be a very competitive bid, especially since there were 30-something companies that picked up the bid. Specs. So we don't expect it to be $7 or $8 million for the cleanup.
When are you buying?
because,
We're paying authorization bond, we're not bonding bond.
Because they don't
right,
make property
but
tax.
because.
But you will be.
Well, if we have to get, if we have to.
So-
It's been my experience, and when I was on the council, when you do this, it's very hard to follow the money, because you bond for it, and then what happens is you start moving money around, they had left over from this bond that was appropriated for a specific thing, and I've seen you guys do it. When I was on the council, it was done. You have money left over in that bond, so you move it over here, because you didn't use it here, and it's very difficult to follow the money like that. And Mr. Prince, I was on that website all day today. I got a bag full of documents. There's no numbers there with
The
with as far as how much.
resolutions for payment should be there.
Yeah, it's not,
I'll double check.
so far, what we've spent is not on there, I
Okay.
can tell you
We'll
that.
double check.
I mean, I could pull it up right here, I have my iPad.
We'll double check.
The document, Katie had, it's my document, it's from your attorney, and it is from a mediation process. I didn't get it from your attorney. It is his letterhead though, and Mr. Dives wants to be back on that field, and he wants to get paid for the work he's doing. He doesn't want to come here and do it for free, which, fine. So, here's my thing. In his original job, he should have gotten paid for what he did. But now, he's going to pay himself for causing this, which is absurd to me. It's as if, you purposely crash your car, and then you go to the insurance company and you go, you gotta pay me, It's absurd that the man who caused this, and he is, it's in your documents, and his attorney, let me see, is it Tom Foley? Tom Foley, I think. I have his documents too. He is demanding to get paid. I will, after your meeting, I'll show you every one of them. Now, don't call me a liar, because I didn't make the documents.
Valerie,
Yes.
he's not expecting to get paid for cleanup. If he comes in, if we were to consider him to come and do the cleanup, that is entirely on his dime.
That's not true.
That's 100% true. We are not going to pay this man to come in and clean up what he did.
Lou, what I think Valerie is stating though is there was an original proposal from Waterside that I believe, yes, contained that request.
Oh, no, this is a mediation document.
Yeah, but
Greg,
that was.
there's so many issues.
Oh, yeah, no, we agree, but
There's so many issues, but I think sometimes history is a very good lesson. And this contractor is not going to do anything for free. This contractor, on a moral scale, for what he did, now we've had disagreements with developments, we've had disagreements with, that's different. This is evil. This is, you contaminated a field you knew children were going to go on. You didn't expect to get caught, that's why you covered it up. And now you want to kind of redeem yourself? No. You can't redeem yourself. You can get in there with a shovel yourself or a spoon. That won't change your moral being. Because the fact that you did that hoping you wouldn't get caught, knowing you have children who played on that field, you have nieces, you have neighbors, you have everything, and to stand up here and say, I wouldn't do it, and then you did it. You're never going to sell that to the public. You're never going to sell that to me. And I just question your morals. What is it? I don't understand. What are you getting in return for this? There has to be something, because nobody who is a moral person would go for this. Now, it's costing us almost 13-something if you use the latest bond. And still, we have to put up with this. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. And I want to just tell you something. My grandfather came here, didn't speak English, signed up, went to World War II, served. My father came here, served. My maternal grandfather served, came here from Italy. My brother served, Gulf War. My brother-in-law Don't you ever tell me to shut up at a public meeting. I earned the right to talk. I earned it on their backs. Don't ever.
You still have to comply with the rules and regulations, no matter how honorable it is your family's